Our next speaker is Dr. Sally Rockey. It's been just a few months that she's been executive director of the new Foundation for Food and Agricultural Research. I'll summarize that briefly. She'll probably give us much more information. As a research funding body created by USDA that matches federal and non-federal funds. She comes to the FFAR directly from her role as Deputy Director for Extramural Research at the National Institutes of Health. She has her PhD from Ohio State University. I looked over some of her publications, and I think I could summarize her expertise as an insect developmental physiologist, but I may be wrong. Take it away.
So thank you so much for having me. I probably am the furthest away. I'm an East Coaster. My office and my foundation is in Washington, but I've also spent the last 30 years in Washington, 19 years with the USDA as the head of extramural research at the USDA, and then I was recruited over to NIH to be the head of extramural research at the NIH. So those of you that are in the biomedical world, this is Rock Talk right in front of you here today. I had a blog that was very instrumental in changing the tenor between the government funding agencies and the community, and was delighted. So Rock Talk now is part of the foundation that I am overseeing. So I want to tell you a little bit about the foundation because we're going to have opportunities here for all of you in research. But I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself in that I am a proponent of science, and I have been a proponent of science for the value that it gives and how it helps us in our everyday lives for 30 years. And we're at a really unique part in our history in science. First of all, the pace of science is like never before. And I have come from an agency that has a $30 billion budget each year for supporting biomedical research. And I see the power of that dollar and how that dollar helps us keep pace with the changes that are going on in science. And I'd like to see that translate to agriculture and to see agriculture funded at a level commensurate with the impact of agriculture on our lives each and every day. And I think about the power that that kind of funding would have for agriculture and what it would mean to us as Americans and what it would mean for people around the world as far as improving our health and making food available, healthy, safe food available to all of us. So you have an advocate in Washington. I also think it's an amazing time in our history where we've had an explosion of technology coupled with knowing more about how things work. And this nexus of technology and basic understanding of how things work really means that we have to apply that to all sectors of our research community, including agriculture, and really propel agriculture forward in ways we otherwise never dreamed of in the past. So it's been really an exciting time, and I've been so happy to be at the helm of organizations which fund really innovative and unique science. So today, for the last 7 weeks, I retired from the government and had a weekend off and started my new job on Monday as Executive Director of the Foundation for Food and Ag Research. So the foundation, we are a nonprofit organization, a 501c3 organization, but we are patterned in the image, and we're developed in the image of some other federal agencies who have foundations. The NIH has a foundation, Food and Wildlife Service, the Forest Service, et cetera. A number of federal agencies have foundations. So the reason, why do we create a foundation that's associated with a federal agency, is that a foundation can do things differently than the federal government. A foundation is a private organization. We are a nonprofit organization, so we aren't bound by the same rules as a government organization, which means that we're able to be nimble and quick about things. We're able to launch programs, fund programs quite rapidly. We can choose partners that we want to work with, choose the projects that we want to fund, and then see those things through immediately. But it also means as a foundation we have to do work to support ourselves, to support our projects, to fundraise, all of those kind of things. So when this foundation was developed, it came with it $200 million from Congress, which is unusual for a foundation. So we were granted through the mandatory funds of Congress in the 2014 Farm Bill $200 million, which was a great gift from all of you, the taxpayers. And at the same time, we're required to match those dollars with a dollar-for-dollar match from a source outside of the government, so from non-federal funds, which means that we're leveraging an additional $200 million for ag research. So that's really fantastic. It's a little bit of a blessing and a curse in that as a new organization, there's very few foundations that have 3 people, and we have right now a foundation of 3 people with $200 million. So that's the blessing, but the curse is that we're also a new foundation with 3 people that has to fundraise $200 million. So that's the other side of the coin. But we are a research organization. We are going to fund research, and what we are about is it's going to be research, innovative, creative research that where we can attract a match. So in other words, we are going to have shared goals with our funders and our donors and our partners who are willing to match with us. We also are likely to be on the more applied end of things because we are looking for impact, although that does not diminish the fact that many of our projects will require really critical basic science in order to progress. We are not an extension of the USDA. We are in collaboration with the USDA, and we're intended to be complementary of the USDA. So when we launch programs, we will go through a very important process to look at what's happening at the USDA, not only in their intramural programs, but also what's happening through their grants programs, what's funded at universities, and to assure that what we're funding, that we're laser focused on a piece of research that would otherwise not be funded by our current mechanisms. That's really what we're about. So we have 7 areas. I have a board of directors that is composed of very dynamic and great individuals who have been working hard over the course of the last year to set this up. It's chaired by Secretary Glickman, who was the past Secretary of Agriculture. We have the current Secretary of Agriculture and the head of NIFA and the head of ARS, and our chief scientist of the USDA is ex officio members of our board. And they together came up with 7 areas that we are targeting over the course of the next couple years. This does not mean that we won't evolve and have new areas that emerge, but we do have 7 areas. And the only notes that I need today is to make sure that I hit these areas correctly. So let me turn my phone so I can read it. Improving plant efficiency, optimizing agricultural water use, transforming soil health, enhancing sustainable farm animal productivity, resilience, and health, achieving a deeper understanding of nutrition and healthful food choices, managing food production systems to enhance human nutritional outcomes, and spurring food system innovation. So you can imagine with these kinds of topics, they are very broad, right? And we're a $200 million organization that is going to have $200 million plus our matches over the course of the next 4 years. So we will not be soliciting applications just de novo in each of these 7 areas. We really have to hone down within those 7 areas that are unique and that will fill a niche that an organization such as mine can fund. So we are working with the community regarding ideas. We've met with hundreds of groups, literally hundreds of groups, and there's some emerging themes that have come forth. And we're also going to be calling for ideas of programmatic area themes that we can think about and launch programs potentially if they meet our goals, and where we're also being able to attract partners. Now, last Friday, we announced our first 2 programs. I'm going to tell you about those 2, and I'm going to tell you about 2 other programs that we'll be launching in the next couple months. So the first program that we're launching is a new innovative program, because one of the goals of the foundation is to assure the next generation of ag researchers. And as you know, all of you who are in this business, when you're in ag and you're in the ag world, you really have to be entrepreneurs about where you get your funding. So you may get your funding from NSF, you may get your funding from USDA, some of you, your funding from NIH, combinations of all those things, from industry, from other types of organization, commodity groups, etc. But one of the issues is that if you're a new investigator or a new young faculty member, you oftentimes steer your research towards the agency which can give you funding. And part of our goal is to really get new young investigators, early career investigators, stabilized within ag and on that ag research trajectory, because if they're going to start their career in ag and the majority of their focus is going to be on agriculturally relevant research, they're likely going to stay in that arena the rest of their career. So we are launching a new innovative program where we are going to fund between 7 and 10 individuals each year in our 7 areas. We are soliciting matches from various organizations so that the individual investigators who apply will not have to come up with a match. We want to generate the match ourselves. The last thing we want to do is put early career investigators running around trying to find the match. And remember, since it's dollar for dollar match, you can't use your startup funds, you cannot use any other federal funds, you have to have a dollar for dollar match. So we feel, in this case, particularly for new innovators, that we will secure that match for them going forth. I'm very excited about it. It will be announced in December. You will only allow each institution to submit one name because we know that there's hundreds and hundreds of these individuals out there, and we really don't have the capacity to accept thousands of applications, since we're only funding 7 to 10, we're going to let you do a lot of the heavy lifting to identify that really creative, innovative individual to submit to our program. The second program that we announced on Friday was that we are going to establish a rapid response program to look at pests and pathogens that are either new or reemerging at an acute level, unpredicted and reemerging pests at acute level. Now, because we're a foundation, we can mobilize and grant within a few days. We can grant funds within a few days. So the idea here is to be as nimble and as quick as we can. We will accept applications, and some of them will come with matches, but we have to be creative about thinking about the match, because if we want to have a match available, it would slow us down if we really had to go out and seek a match. And one of the critical components of this program is that we're fast. So the idea of this program is that we'll try to secure a match ahead of time. We have some creative ideas of how to do that. But we're looking for projects where there's an acute situation where it can be national in scope. And when I mean national, I know all agriculture is local, so we're not talking about perhaps an issue that is arising here in California, but that what we learn from it could be applied to other systems and across other areas of the country. And that there can be some achievable goal at the end of a 12-month period. Does not mean that you have to have a final solution at the end of the 12-month period or a solution that is implementable, but that you've made a strides towards something that is going to achieve a solution quite quickly. So that's the second program that we launched. There's 2 other programs that we will be launching by the end of the year. The first is our real research-focused area, which is soil health program. We have a private family funder for $12.5 million, and we will be putting $12.5 million in for a $25 million program on soil health with an emphasis on cover crops and other sustainable practices for soil health. We will be soliciting applications in this regard in soil health in a number of areas. We have not completely defined those areas, but they will come out and they'll be competitive. And while the focus of the project is in the Mississippi Basin area and the Mississippi waterways and surrounding Midwest, we are going to solicit applications broadly because we believe that we're going to bring in the best and the brightest from across the country to work on these areas, and that what is learned in cover crops here in California could be applicable there. So it'll be a very broad call for proposals in the research component of this project. And the last project that we are going to fund is a project that is part of our goals of FAR, which is to elevate agricultural research and ag sciences in the world of science itself. And when I always use the example that most of the public, when you say the word USDA, most of the public doesn't, the first thing that doesn't come to mind is science. It just isn't that way. Although if you say NIH, the first thing that they know is about science, right? So we are going to try to elevate the value and the absolute sophisticated and technologically advanced science that we have now in agriculture by establishing at the National Academy of Sciences their first prize in agriculture. And this is very exciting. The Academy is over the roof about this. They are so excited about it. It will be, we have a very generous offer for a match for this. We will set up an endowment at the Academy that will pay a $100,000 prize each year to a really stellar mid-career scientist that works in a domestic institution. here in the United States. So it's so exciting for us. As you know, most Academy prizes are individual prizes. That means it's an award to an individual. They can choose to use it for their lab, or they can use it for their own personal reasons. But it's a very exciting new prize, and the Academy believes very strongly that once we launch this prize, it will be an impetus for launching other prizes in agriculture as well. You know, we have the food prize, but that's really the only prize, and there had not been any prize at the Academy. So we've hit 4 of our areas right away. We've hit being nimble organization with our rapid response. We've hit assuring the next generation of talented scientists. We've hit elevating ag research in the world of science, and then we've done our first research program. So we're very excited about this, but in the meantime, the next things we're going to do is be seeking ideas from all of you. With these hundreds of groups that we've met with, there's been some emerging themes, but we'd like to hear from you, so we're going to be soliciting ideas, not proposals, but ideas at that level above a proposal, but below our 7 topic areas where we could really hone in on some incredibly important research. We are both biologically based. We're also in the social sciences. We're also interested in extension. So we really want to take that research all the way from the conduct of research out to its application. So that's what we're about, and I'll be happy at our breakout sessions to talk with all of you more about the program. And thanks so much for inviting me. It's been really wonderful. I've met with a number of the faculty over the course of the last 2 days, and some incredible work going on here, so I congratulate all of you. It just must be thrilling to work here, really. So thanks a lot.